Hello, this is psychicpodcasts.com. I'm Psychic Sahar. Hello, today we're going to talk to Dr. PMH Atwater, who's a well-known author, a researcher, and an expert on near-death experiences. Dr. Atwater lives in Virginia in the United States. Today, we're going to discuss her latest book, Beyond the Indigo Children, The New Children and the Coming of the Fifth World. I hope you'll enjoy our discussion. For more details on Dr. Atwater, please check her website, www.pmhatwater.com.
Dr. Atwater, as a professional intuitive, the future interests me. I also strongly believe that the children, our children, are the future. And this is why I had requested this interview with you. So I'm grateful to you for your time, and thank you for talking to us at Psychic Podcasts today.
Well, I'm very grateful to be here, and I agree with you. In fact, I wrote the book, Beyond the Indigo Children, The New Children and the Coming of the Fifth World, because I felt it was my duty to share my research and what could be proved or established or what was highly suggestive. And comparing that with mystical tradition and esoteric teachings, to combine all of that into a type of book that we could really get some good, solid direction from.
Wonderful.
So that's why I did it. I did it out of a sense of duty. I just felt like this was my job. I had to do it for the kids.
Well, I tell you, when I first emailed you, it was initially asking your permission to publish your article entitled The New Children, Are They Really Indigo? On my online Psychic and Spirit magazine, to which you kindly replied immediately and you gave your permission. But if I may quote in your email, what really interests me is what you said. You said the extent to which Indigo Revolution and World Indigo Day are now being carried is strictly hype, a gross exaggeration of the truth that benefits the promoter, not the kids.
That's true. That's totally true. It's a marketing ploy.
Absolutely. And you went on to say that what alarms you most is the churches and the parents who support it. And you said the result is beginning to look more like child exploitation than uplifting or helpful revelation.
That's very true, and there's a whole movement now coming forward who are pointing this out. Professionals, educators, even the kids.
Right.
They're saying, hey, I don't have an indigo. What is all this stuff?
Can I ask you first, for those who don't know, who are the new children, and are they indeed indigo or crystal? And what is so special about 1982?
1982 is what we've been able to establish, that is to say, generational researchers. So we're talking about hard science here. We're not talking about anything intuitive.
Right.
Hard science.
Right.
And we're talking about, and they were able to take that year, 1982, as the beginnings of what they call the Millennial generation.
Right.
Some of them call it the Echo Boomers. But if you really get into research from the kids who came in from about 1982 on, not necessarily hard fast that year, but right around that year, if you really look at these kids as a whole,
yes,
at least in general, and worldwide, you begin to realize that huge waves of very different children began to come into the earth plane at about that time.
Right.
So we can take that then as a marker.
Right.
Not saying that they didn't come in before.
Right.
I mean, we've got adults of these new kids, the grandparents that are these new kids. So they're all ages. In fact, I honestly believe that this advancement in the evolution of the human family began several thousand years ago, and we've seen much larger advances in each of the renaissances that we've had across the globe at varying times, and these very new advanced people have been gathering steam, that is to say, more and more and more of them, and it's now to the point we're having huge waves of them.
That's interesting.
And I think we can really turn to science for numbers here. It was just released in Science Journal.
Yes.
In September 9, 05, that they've now been able to really research gene mutations. They call them brain-building genes. And, of course, these have been around for a long, long time. There's two main ones. But what they're noticing now, just this year, they're noticing that, oh, my gosh, these two gene mutations that build a better brain are increasing in the population at an unprecedented rate.
That's
so
amazing.
The numbers are 70%, get this, Sahar, 70% of the world's people already have
those new genes.
Have at least one of these genes. 30% have both of them.
Gosh.
And there's all kinds of new information out now, and also my own research with near-deaf kids and the new kids that really support this and can give you numbers where you can better grasp what's going on with our children. The parents are saying, oh, the kids are smarter than we are.
Yes.
Well, they're right. They are. We can even get this from IQ tests and the scores the kids are making globally now in those countries that administer the standard IQ test.
Yes.
We've got a 24 to 26 point rise. That makes about 1/3 of the population of these people that take this test, no matter where in the world they are. About 1/3 of them now are scoring between 150 to 160.
Amazing.
Now, they used to say, a long time ago, educators used to say that, well, the score for genius is 134 to 136, and other educators say, no, it's 140.
Right.
Well, these are kids 150 to 160. And it's just remarkable. And, of course, in my book, The New Children and Near-Death Experiences, I talk about even more remarkable things with children who, as part of their after effects, then begin to have this advancement, this leap in intelligence.
Right.
And when we're talking about, are they indigos, are they crystals, my goodness, Sahar, please invite all of your listeners and all of your audiences to please move past labels.
Yes, I totally agree. Yes.
Our box children into exclusive clubs of specialness.
Yes, it's a sexy name that can enable them to market something or another, isn't it?
It doesn't fit. Most of them do not have indigo or purple auras. The vast majority have a wide range of different kinds of auras. What we need to look at are characteristics and traits.
So what are these characteristics?
If you're going to be looking at
intelligence,
new kids and, try to understand them in terms of advancement,
yes,
then you've got to study the root races.
Right.
And what we know about the comings and goings of root races. And this I do in detail in my book, Beyond the Indigo Children.
Right.
So I go into great detail about that. If you're going to just flippantly call them something, they're really fifth root racers, or fifth root race kids, not sixth root race. The sixth root race is the indigos, the true indigos. My goodness, we're about 300 to 500 years out yet from that.
From the new.
What we're seeing now is the fifth root race that is going into fulfillment. It is completing itself. Whenever you have a root race that goes into fulfillment, everything intensifies and accelerates and advances at huge, unprecedented rates. And that's what we're seeing now. We're seeing the fifth root race going into ascension or acceleration. What I prefer to call them is just simply the new kids.
The new children, the new kids.
These boxes.
Absolutely. Now, Dr. Atwater, you have researched the field of near-death studies since 1978, and you have tracked the impact of consciousness transformations, especially with children, since 1966. And if I may...
That is a long time.
Yes, you have. And out of your 7 books containing your findings, The New Children and Near-Death Experiences basically compares children who have had near-death experiences or who are changed because of those, and with those born from 1982 onwards, which are the kids which are different since birth. You also mentioned, and I quote, "These two groups compare in ways that are both startling and unsettling. Because of this, I wrote Beyond the Indigo Children, The New Children and the Coming of the Fifth World." Your new book goes really beyond near-death experiences, NDEs, and indeed beyond the new children. And as you said, and I quote, "These new ones are unlike the children of any previous generation. Yet to understand them, one must also have a better understanding of our times." This completely kind of resonated with me. And if I may ask you briefly, what is going on with the human race in terms of development and evolution, and what is the fifth world for those who don't know?
Well, my goodness, you're asking a huge question here. Do you realize what you're asking?
Well, your book sounds really interesting, and I must say you've had
time now where we're having the cosmic year is changing. The cosmic year is like, 25,000 something. I mean, I don't have it memorized right now, but it's a huge turn of the cosmic wheel. So this huge wheel of...
So you're talking beyond the Mayan calendar, really?
Oh, yeah. Well, it's part of the calendar, the Mayan calendar. It's part of the Yugas.
Yes. It's the bigger wheel.
Every single native culture throughout time has spoken of this time we're now in as the coming of the fifth world, where we're moving into a most incredible, accelerated, advanced type of living and thinking and being. So we have a
quantum
very
leap,
rich lineage here of stories and traditions. Then if you combine that with the various sciences, then you come to realize that, yes, indeed, the world is turning and changing at unprecedented rates. Just speaking as an astrologer, in mid-November 2004, that was the beginning, Sahar, of a major Earth changes cycle.
That's right.
Only God knows when it's going to end.
Yes.
And, of course, after that, the big tsunami in the Indian Ocean, and we've just had gigantic shifts since then. My dear, we haven't seen anything yet.
Absolutely. So we've
only seen a tiny turn
of the changes to come. Yeah. So we're talking environment, we're talking human development, or leap, also a quantum leap of consciousness, all sorts of changes.
Right, and they're all peaking at the same time.
That's really interesting.
And I truly feel that what we see between now and 2012, the ending of the Mayan calendar, will hardly even compare with what we're going to see between 2013 and 2029. That's going to be the major, larger changes.
Amazing. And you've called also for your books for a new way to educate the new children.
Yeah, I mean, most of them are spatial.
Yes.
And 80% of our school curriculum and the way children are now taught are for audio-based children, audio-based learners.
That's interesting,
These are spatial learners.
So what would that entail? What would you suggest?
Well, I suggested all kinds of different styles and people and places to contact, name, address, phone number, websites, emails. I'm
really
very
practical, yes. Yes.
It's all in my book. And I need to warn everybody that this time the footnotes are a resource section.
Yes.
So read the footnotes.
Yes, no, absolutely. I know that on your website you mentioned that there's new material that hasn't had time to go into the book at the time of publishing.
And that I put on my website. My website, by the way, is just www.PMHAtwater.com. In other words, it's my name.com.
Yes.
And then you want to click on to the Beyond the Indigo Children extras. So you want to get on the extras.
Right, so
that's where I've got this chart on the 5s. You know, the 5s that are peaking now. How anybody could ever get what's going on now mixed up with the 6th root race and the true indigos is beyond me.
Yeah.
All you have to look at the 5s, the 5 intelligences, the 5 brains, the 5 major waves of communication, the 5th root race, the 5th world. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. The 5s that are coming together and peaking now, the 5th dimension. I mean, everything. We're moving into 5s.
And 5 really is the 5th, or let's say, symbolized by the 5th chakra or communication as well.
Yeah, the 5th chakra?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, my dear, the challenge of the 5th chakra is power over or power to. The 5th chakra has to do with domination.
Interesting.
It's the chakra of willpower or domination. And the challenge of the 5th chakra, which is rising now, across in development globally, is power over or power to. All you have to do is look at the headlines, and you know we're coming into the 5th world.
Absolutely.
Because now this is a major issue. It's always been an issue. Now it's major, big time.
So when did we start the 5th world? Does that go back to...
Well, it all depends upon what particular lineage or tradition you want to research.
Right.
If you're looking at just the Mayan calendar, then that calendar indicates that we've been in the 5th world already for several thousand years.
Right.
And that on December 21, 2012, we move out of that particular phase.
Right.
Now, what people are not looking at, what they're not paying any attention to, is that all of the ancient calendars do not add new stages for new planes of existence.
Absolutely.
What they do is they unfold. They're all calendar rounds.
Yes.
So as we end the old 5th world, we will be jumping into an accelerated, ascended version or a very intense version of that world. In other words, we're moving into the ascended version of the 5th world.
Yes.
We're not moving out of the 5th world.
Right.
We're moving into the full expression of the 5th
world. Of the 5th world. Yes, I understand. Dr. Atwater, on a personal note, you have so much, you handle so many irons in the fire at the same time. How do you relax?
I died. Really, literally. I died 3 times in 3 months.
Yes, I've read about that. Yes.
I look back at it and I call it the heavenly sledgehammer effect.
Amazing.
And my job was revealed to me, my purpose, my mission, my job was revealed to me in your near-death experience.
Yes.
I was sent back to do the work I'm doing. This is why I'm alive. This is what I'm here for, and this is what I do.
I remember even on your website that it says what you wrote is that you also got the titles of the books and which books to write and when during that experience.
I do not do anything, dear, without first going into prayer and meditation. I don't do anything without guidance.
Amazing.
People think I'm some kind of great intellectual. No, sorry to disappoint you.
You're literally inspired.
First to God.
Yes.
And second to mind.
Yes, absolutely. If there is a next life, would you come back, and what would you do?
If there is a next life, well, of course there's a next life.
For you.
We just go on and on and on and on and on. You know, just recently I've had these visions. You know, some of the things I would like to do if I had it to do over. One of the things I would do is I would go to a real college and get a real degree in the sense of attending all those years and really being able to enjoy going after my doctorates.
Yes.
And I would go further into science, and I would enjoy working out more at the gym. I would get more involved with gym. I would get more involved with sports, and I would get more involved with science.
That's nice.
I really would.
Yes.
And I would climb more mountains, and I would I'm a person who loves adventure. I just love adventure. And I would take up kayaking, and I would learn how to swim.
Well, you have a lot to do by the sounds of it.
Sure, and I would also take up painting.
Oh, how wonderful.
I still very much want to take up painting. In fact, I'd like to do that in this life.
Oh, how
but
wonderful.
I haven't had the time yet.
And finally, if you were going on a holiday on a stranded island, you're only allowed to take 3 things. What would they be?
I would take my husband.
Lovely, good answer.
I would take my husband.
Yes.
I would take all that I needed to survive. In other words, I would take a survival kit. I would take my husband. I would take a survival kit. And I would take all the joy I could possibly pack into every moment.
Oh, that's wonderful. Oh, thank you so much. Very nice talking to you, Dr. Atwater. And I hope we'll have many meetings to come.
Well, that would be fun. And you have a great day.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.